Nice. So good evening and welcome to the session. This session is about online education and how you can use one very unique platform for hosting your courses. So what is online education? That is what I want to begin with. Online education is basically technology mediated learning centered paradigm, which is not teacher centered or teaching centered paradigm, because the focus is on the learner. And thus, what we need to be as, we have to be the facilitators, wherein the learners are the center and we are providing them with opportunities to explore their own creativity. And for such an environment, we need a platform where we can host courses and make the platform available for collaborative learning. Because in distance education, the best part is that there is no apprehension in interacting. And while we offer the students to interact freely without the hesitation of being judged, we allow them to have collaborative learning opportunities. Again, all this is possible only through a very engaging platform which gives you certain features using which you can collaborate with the learners. You as a teacher, a facilitator, and the learners themselves, among themselves, can collaborate with each other. They can brainstorm ideas, share their mind out, and the possibilities endless when we come to collaborative learning. So today we are going to discuss about such a platform, and I have with me Alauddin, who is the founder of marybook.com. Mary book in Hindi means my book. So this is something that is so relatable for a teacher. It just speaks for itself that you can host your courses as my own book, my own. You are the owner, you are the author of what you are writing and sharing. So very quickly, I will share a brief about Alauddin. He has been into the tech side of business for over 20 years now. And his first big IT project was back in 2001 when VoIP was in its infancy, even in the US. And web dialers were hot to make cheap calls from India to USA. Later, as he dove deeper into these IT projects, it became clear that he needed to learn project management and got PMP certification back in 2007. And more recently, SAFE Agile certification. So basically, he enjoys the most is building software products that help companies and individuals save money and make money, which is a great thing. I think we all teachers want to do that. While we share our knowledge, while we teach, we want to actually save money and make money. So thank you, Alauddin, for joining us and sharing about this platform with us. So I will ask you to take on the mic
All right.
and start.
All right. Hey, thank you, Harshita, for having me. I'm excited to be here. Um, do I need to do anything or let's see,
I have given
react?
you the sharing right, so you can share your screen.
Okay, all right. So before I get to the sharing of the screen, uh, the reason I was laughing when you mentioned, voice over IP and, dialers back in 2000,
Mhm.
uh, the brand that I had created for that was my web phone.
Oh, okay.
So coming back 20 years later, again, I have a brand that is very similar to the very first one that I had created. So it was kind of funny, I think.
Yeah,
Um, so
that's
basically, like this is before Vonage. Most people here in US would know Vonage. It's a pretty big company, not as popular now because everybody has cell phones. But back in the day, they became really hot because the costs were uh, you can't beat those costs. So in India, it was even more valuable because calling from India to US was very expensive at the time. Nowadays, it's like pennies, so it really doesn't
yeah,
matter.
yeah. I remember
So,
it was.
uh, getting into the Mary book part, I wanted to break it down into three pieces. Basically, just want to give you guys the flow, and then we'll get to question and answers towards the end.
Right.
The first part is like one of the challenges that we faced when building websites. So like I started off into tech with, the voice over IP project, and then that got me started into learning, how to build websites, and
Mm-hmm.
that took me into a whole new direction. I started off with WordPress and then Drupal. Drupal was something that I really liked at that time, so I spent a lot of time on Drupal.
Wow.
And basically, when we were building websites as a freelancer, when I wanted to build website, there were little scripts of code or processes in order to set up a website
Mm-hmm.
that I would document in my Word doc, Google Doc, right?
Mm-hmm.
And after I think a year and a half, I ended up having just one Drupal document, which was 60 pages long
Oh my
with
God.
scripts of codes and, for this thing, use this module, or for this module, when it breaks, you need to do something like this to fix it. So that was my whole document. And when I would start a project and let's say I'm using a module that needed some custom fix that I had figured out, from my previous experience, it ended up taking me more time to search the Google document than actually going back out to Google and searching again that same problem.
Right.
So at that point, uh, we were like, okay, well, this is not working. We need to find another solution. And one of the persons I work with, Sadeh, he's like a core uh, programming guy, right? So he's the one, the main guy behind Mary Book, actually, technical wise.
Okay.
So over a course of a week, he built something out, and it was basically book chapter section format. He's like, you know what? Forget all the documents and issues that we're having. I created something here. We'll use this and see how it goes.
Yeah.
So we ended up using that for about a year, and we're like, wow, this is the important part that really stuck out to us was getting the information in was easy,
Mm-hmm.
but it was getting it back and in a structured format that really changed everything for us. Um, so I have books from 5 years ago that we created. Like I still have that Drupal book. I don't do Drupal anymore, but I still have that book, and I can go into that book and go, okay, views module. Just go into that chapter, and then within that, it's literally 10-15 seconds to find whatever information I'm interested in. So I think once you start using that format, you will really find the usefulness of the product. So that's how we got started, right? And when we tried to sell it, nobody wanted to pay for a note-taking application. uh, because note-taking application is like dime a dozen and they're all free, right? You know, you got OneNote, you got Google Keeps. So there's all these options and they're all free. And if you were asking for money, it just made it really difficult for us to sell. So we kind of like stopped promoting it, just kind of worked it on our own. And then we ran into another marketing problem, which was lead delivery, right? So you create a lead magnet. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, or think of it like as a newsletter or restricted content where you have to provide an email ID in order to get access to that information. So as we got into more website marketing pieces, we realized, well, we're creating all the content here, but then we're taking the content and trying to find uh, a solution to deliver that content. So that became like the next bottleneck that we wanted to solve. And we're like, well, we're creating the content right here. Why not build something right here that you can share easily?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, just have people sign up and get access to that. So that was the other next phase of that product development. And once that happened, uh, like the whole coaching thing about 2-3 years back, the whole coaching thing was started to take, you know, like a life of its own. A lot of people teaching online. So it turned, and since we already had a format of book chapter section, it was just uh, the next stage was to just message it properly and say, well, you can use it as a course. We're calling it a book, but it's a course. You can call it a module or a chapter. So the terminology is interchangeable. Just because of our branding, we're sticking with book, chapter, and section.
Right.
And just last week, we created the option in our application to mark something as either a book or a course, because otherwise it was getting a little bit confusing. So we kind of solved that too.
Okay.
So hopefully that's a good overview.
That was absolutely.
All right.
What I would suggest or request rather is that while you are demonstrating the books and chapters that you create, if you could just explain a little bit about how to create that lead magnet that you talked about, how we can
Sure.
create a campaign around it, and invite people or get access to email IDs and stuff that
hmm
you just mentioned. So if you could just
Sure.
explain that a little while you do it, that will be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
So basically, we're calling when you create a book,
Mhm.
it's private. So everything starts off private. If you do choose that you want to make it public, you have two options to make it public. One is to just make it public and a person comes to the website and to your profile and they see your public book and they can just consume the content. So it becomes like your mini blog section, if you will, right? But on a very specific topic,
Right.
right? So just making it public means the user is able to consume your content, but you don't know who they are,
All right.
right? Because they're anonymous users, or even if they're logged in, they haven't provided you any information. Now there's another option to make it a public subscription.
Mm-hmm.
So public subscription means it's like a newsletter, or you have to give me your email ID in order for you to get access. So with just one click, you can turn your content into a public subscription. And within the website on our platform, the other bonus part is the ability to have traffic that is not your own traffic. It's like mere, traffic coming to our website and discovering content from search engine optimization that we're doing in the back end, or even people visiting our website and searching for, let's say, like WordPress something,
Mm-hmm.
and your book shows up and then they subscribe to it. So it's basically you are posting your free lead magnet on this third-party website. But here, unlike Facebook or unlike Udemy, you actually get the email ID of the person who signed up, right? So we're not restricting like where you're just getting a pixel or you just get a student, but you don't know who that is, right? And you have to find creative ways to get that email ID again. Here, we're not doing that. It's like if they subscribe, you get the email ID, and then you can push it out to your email autoresponder, to your CRM, however you want to uh, manage your subscribers, you're able to do that. So
So
what I'll do is,
so,
yeah.
um, as I understand all of this, this is an amazing thing that we can leverage when we create an ebook. For example, if you're a language teacher, you create a short ebook around the course that you are trying to sell, and you post that ebook onto marybook.com. And because you have a lot of traffic on your site, so there could be people coming in, and if you keep it as a public subscription, so somebody who subscribes to get access to that short ebook that you have, in turn, you will get an email ID of that prospective learner who would want to learn from you about that course, and who you can reach out to maybe later
Correct.
through your funnel. So this is a very nice method.
And another feature built in is once, if they complete a section
Mm-hmm.
and they mark it as completed, you actually get an email notification saying this user completed this section. So if you wanted to follow up and set up your automations to do follow-ups there, you can do something along those lines as well. All right, so let me jump in. Well, let me do a screen share. And if you can confirm you're able to see my screen.
Yes,
All right,
we can.
so, all right, right here. So I have a demo account that I'm logged into. So I actually have two different use cases that I wanted to show first, and then we'll do like one live course creation, or at least outline creation. If you guys want me to do that, we can do that.
That will be
Sounds good?
amazing.
All
Yes,
right.
yes, absolutely.
Okay, so first one I have here is content marketing work. So, this was a live event that I had done earlier, and I can just run that through. I just modified it just a little bit. So basically the use cases, you are a copywriter, and you work for, your clients, where you give them, let's say, 4 or 5 articles on a project basis, or however you do it. But the end product that you're delivering is, let's say 4 articles, right? So that could be your contract. So in content writing work, let's say this is your client. I just named that client Coach Mary. And then let's say your process involves getting on a phone call, doing a discovery call, and then once you have that information, you do your research, and then after you do your research, you actually write the content. So here what I did was I created just one specific book and called it Content Writing Work for Coach Mary. And then here is the current project. So let's say after this project, you get another project, you can just create another chapter and call it, whatever project that is. So in this case, I have 4 articles for this project. And then the client discovery session is a section. So during the phone call, let's say these are like your 3 questions that you're asking them, and your client doesn't have to have access to this. This is just in the back end, you're just organizing this. So you would go in, And as you ask these questions, you can fill out the answers that you get as you are, discussing that on the phone call itself, and then save that. So that becomes that finishes your first phase. Let's say the next phase is doing some keyword research. So I'm actually going to go back up one level and show you again. So client discovery session was our first thing. And the UI, if I click on the chapter again, it will show me all the sections. So here, let's say one of the keywords was English training. So I'll just expand here and show you, again, the unique interface that makes it easy to retrieve the information. So for English training keyword, let's say this was your keyword research, and like this is the keyword, the difficulty, and the volume. So you did the research there. The next keyword was English tutor. There's the difficulty, there's the volume. So I just copied and pasted it from a tool that I was using. And then once you have this, let's say you're actually writing your first article, and then you would have, let's say, 3 other articles that you want to write. So you start writing your article, and I just copied some article from Google search, and here's the link for that. So let's say this was your original content that you had created for your client, and now you want to get a review. Okay, so how would you do that? Like if you were using, let's say, a Google Doc or a Word document, you would have the document, and then you would email them. Here you can just click on a share link, and this opens up a lot of different possibilities. I'm not going to get into that, but let's just say I shared that one link, and now whoever you're sharing this link with will see the content just for that section. So I hope you guys realize like how quick and easy that was to be able to take from a whole collection of content that you have. You're taking that one piece and you're sharing just that one piece. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely, that does. So
All
that
right.
is basically one section,
That's
or
one right.
that
So
is one section of the book. So probably you have a course, and under that course you have modules, and in each module then you have a section, and in that section you can share a specific section with somebody by just a click on the
correct.
link.
So
That's
now,
nice.
if we were to take this as let's say you're working as a team, and there's going to be 2 people who are going to write the content. So what in that case, what you want to do is at the book level, you want to invite somebody to work with you. So let's say your colleague is going to write the article number 3 and 4. So you can just click, just like Google Docs here, you can just click on invite, put in the email ID of the person, and give them manager role or editor role, because you do want them to go in and edit. So depending on what level of access you want to give them, I would say manager if they're part of your team, just send that to them. And now the 2 of you can start working on whatever the project is. Uh, Built into this functionality is, if you go to, let's go to client discovery session, you'll notice that there is versioning built in. So you don't, just like Google Docs, you have states every time you save, automatic versioning is happening. There's no option to enable or disable it. It's just there. So like here's the version. I can go look at the difference. Before it was this, and this is the new content that was added. And you can roll back to a previous version if you want it. So making sure that, like nothing gets overwritten by default, or, you're not deleting content by accident. You're solving that that issue where, you know, chances of you losing content is minimized because you have versioning built in. All right, so we talked about sharing like one individual piece of content. We talked about sharing the whole book. And so right now we're talking about sharing where you actually know the person, right? So you're sharing the link with somebody because you're talking to them, you're in a chat or via email. Now the next piece of sharing is where you have anonymous visitors and you want to get their email ID in order to share. So that's the lead magnet portion of it, right? So let's say if I wanted to take this book and I just want to make it available to the public and give access to them if they give me the email ID. So let me, before I do that, I'm going to go over to my profile page, show you what that looks like right now. So right now, here's my profile, and it's showing that I have one testing book available for people to view. So if I come back to this book, content writing, and let me edit. So here are the different options to make it public and public subscription. I'm going to make public first, just so you guys see how that works. I'm going to update that. Come back to my profile and refresh. Now you see that this public book is visible on my profile. And if I click on this, actually, you know what I should do? I should log in as anonymous user so you guys can see. All right, so I'm anonymous user. If I click on view book, now all that content that you had is available to anybody that comes to your profile and finds this content. From an SEO perspective, they'll be able to find content as well, right? So again, you can just expand. Just getting the content is just quick and easy. I think at least I like it. All right, so that was one public option, right? So now I'm going to minimize that and I'm going to go back to the edit option and we'll make it public subscription. So as soon as you click on the public subscription, it's asking you for a campaign, right? So basically this is a way for you to segment the people who are accessing your content. So if they're coming from, let's say, Marybook, we can create a campaign for that. Let's say you have on your own website, you have a sign-up form. You can have a different campaign and have people sign up to that campaign. So that way you can see how many came from your website and how many came from, let's say, this platform. Or if you're outreaching to other people and they're cross-promoting your stuff, you can say, okay, well, I'm collaborating with this other influencer and they sent me this much traffic. So you can segment your subscribers based on campaign. So actually, before I do that, let me show you the campaign page, and then we'll come back to this page. So on the main interface, you'll see that we have my books, my notes. Basically, my notes is like without going into creating a book or a chapter, you have some thought that you want to write down right away. That would be going into my notes. So you could just find the add note option all the time up on top. Just click on add note and they all go into my notes. And then from there, you can organize as needed. The shares and the share links, we'll get to that. So this is the campaign. If I go to campaigns, you see there's one already for this marketing plan book, but we don't have anything for our content book that we just talked about. So let me open that up in another tab now, and then we'll see what is happening, right? So we created this public book. So I'm going to the public content writing. Stop me if I'm going too fast, guys. Everybody with me here?
That's perfectly all right. And we will have a lot of questions by the end. Don't worry.
Okay, sounds good. So here is the content writing work, right? So this is the book that we were just talking about. If I click on public subscription, since we don't have anything, we're going to add a new one. We'll call this demo 9.5, right? And I'm going to save that. This is one minor UI issue right now that we need to solve, and it needs to refresh with this on. So that doesn't happen right now, but that's something that we need to fix. Right now, demo 9.5 got created, and I'll click on update. So if I come back to my campaign pages and refresh this, you'll see that the content writing book has one active campaign. If I go into that, this is the demo 9.5. Let's say you wanted to add another one, and you want to add that from your blog. So you can just say from my blog page, okay? And you can just make that active, create. So now you have two campaigns, and each campaign has different sets of functionality that you can have. So if somebody signs up to this campaign, you can create different set of automations. So here, you know, I'm probably jumping ahead, but let's say this one needs to go to your MailChimp account, so you can, you know, configure your MailChimp account, and then they'll start showing up over here. I don't have anything set up right now, but that would be like one option. So if I go back to my second campaign, like from my blog page, let's say you're already adding them to your MailChimp on your blog form already, and you don't need to do anything else. So in this campaign, you can just skip it. So each campaign gives you control over what actions happen after a user signs up. So I think that flexibility is pretty unique. You probably won't find it anywhere else. So that just happened.
I will just ask, like, give a quick recap of what you've just done. Is that you had a book, and within that book, on the book page itself, you created a campaign, and using that campaign, you've set it up to capture the email address of anybody who's trying to access this book. Am I
Correct.
right?
So if I go back to my profile now, right? So the book is still there. The only difference now is, instead of public book, it's a public subscription, right? That's the only toggle that we changed. The radio button was public first, so anybody would have been able to see all the content. And
So
now,
a public book is basically available to anybody who visits marybook.com, and they surf through the website, so they'll be able to see the public content. So anything that is public is absolutely visible without any apprehensions. Now, when we talk about public subscription, the content is available only after you enter the email address, and then you get access to the book, right?
correct. So coming back to this page, now that we changed it from public to public subscription, the content should be locked, right? So if I click on view book here, you'll see that you have the content writing, this, and you have all your 4 sections. These are all locked, and the button here has changed from view to get free access. So now if I click on get free access, we have a built-in form that will sign your user up to your book. And here's the name, email, and if they say yes, keep me updated, that means they have given you as the book owner consent to send the newsletters going forward, right? That this is a required uh, piece of information that you need for GDPR compliance, right? So if when they say yes, keep me updated, basically they have given you permission to be added to your newsletter. Does that make sense?
Very nice. That's absolutely what is required, and this is quite a seamless workflow, as I can see.
Correct. So now let's say I am not an existing user of Marybook, and I just came across this content and I'm interested in it. So, like earlier, uh, creating the account and then giving access what was multiple steps. So in order to remove that barrier, what we did was, I'll show you, I'll sign up. Even though I have an account, it really doesn't matter. Oops, wrong place. And we're actually verifying that the email is valid. I don't know why it's taking that long. There you go. And let's say I give consent, and then I just click on yes, give me instant access. So instant access is literally instant access right here. So this user is in an anonymous browser. So I'm not logged in. I'm not a user of Marybook, but I got access to your content just by providing the email, and I'm able to view all that content right away. Okay,
This is very
so
nice. Like the way you have shared about email validation, that also ensures that there is no spamming. So whoever is trying to subscribe for your session has to be an authentic user.
correct,
And you are also giving a subscription access for, sorry, the book access for 7 days.
correct.
Okay.
So
So what will happen after 7 days?
you've subscribed to this book. Please check your email for continuous access. Visit my subscriptions from your Marybook account. So in the background, they have received 2 emails. One is to verify their email ID and create a Marybook account. And the second one is an email saying you have signed up to content writing workbook from, in this case, Marybook demo user. So we're giving, like literally, actually, let me see if I can share that image. Uh, I think that'll be much easier for you guys to see what is happening in the back end. I didn't Alauddin. All right, I'm going to show you.
Are you sharing your
Yeah, I'm trying to log into my email account. But I'll skip that. So basically what's happening is in the back end, this user gets 2 emails. Okay. So now let's see what actually happened as the book owner, what happened on your side. So let's go to the main homepage. Let's go to my campaigns. And this is your content writing work. Shows you that you have one connection and you got one connection, or this is your lead basically in the last 30 days. So here you have the user's name and email ID. Since I already was a Marybook user, you're able to see the profile, and like you can click here and go to their profile. The book, content writing workbook, that's your book that they signed up to. The campaign that they signed up to was the demo 5, which is this book, right? This demo campaign. And where did they come from? They came from a Marybooks public subscription. They could have come from your website, and that would be different. And that's just a tag that we add. So if you're doing anything like, let's say, an active campaign or in your MailChimp, you have this tag to play with: sign up date, consent, and then the status. So this is what you're able to see in the back end. Now, let's assume that I was logged in and uh, I had subscribed to somebody's content. I would go to my subscription, and this is where you would see all the books that you have signed up for. Okay, so like if I was the other user, I would see my content writing book here. So right now I'm logged in as this user, and I have access to content from this user, and that's me, the Drupal book I was talking about. Does that make sense?
yeah,
So you have a different section of my subscriptions where everything that you sign up is all available to you here. I think this is huge when you think about all the PDFs that we download, and they're all sitting in our downloads folder and we never get to it.
true.
How many people do that, right?
Yeah.
So now if you were interested in a resource, and if that is available in this platform, I could be in this platform for Facebook Analytics right now, but just realizing, oh, I also have access to Google Analytics. That means your content is going to get consumed again. Now, if I go into Google Analytics, like this is, I can mark items as completed as I go through the course. I can pin items. So let's say create a new account was something that I had pinned. Let's say website account creation was another piece that I was interested in. So now if I scroll up, this one has 19 sections or something. I'm not interested in all of those. I'm only interested in these 2. So I can pin them and have that up on top. So the end user is able to do that.
This is
Your
this is so much like Kindle, if I can relate it to. Kindle also gives you access to the books that you have subscription for, and then it shows you the completion, like how much percentage you've completed or not. And as a student, I think this is going to be very helpful for a student, that if, or any not only a student, I am basically talking about it as a teacher. If I have shared my book with my student, the student would have access to the book, and then they can see the progress, how much of the section they have completed. And if they want to pin any specific module or section, they can, which probably would be more important
correct.
to them. So that is a very amazing feature, which you probably wouldn't get in many other platforms, because this is
Right.
very
So
unique.
if you're thinking like WordPress and trying to think of this functionality or creating that functionality, it's really difficult to create something custom like that with all the available plugins that are available. So I mean, they do a lot more. I'm not saying that they're not good, but unique in the sense that this is much more streamlined, I think.
Yeah.
And the best part is, I don't know about you guys, but as somebody who builds website, I always tend to have the worst website because I'm always going in and changing stuff, and sometimes I leave it half working and half broken, right? So that constant, just knowing that I can go in and update something, or try a new plugin, or do something new with it, uh, always held me back, because I always go and keep tweaking it and messing it up and just leaving it like that. So not having WordPress to manage this critical piece, you still need your own platform, don't get me wrong. I mean, having your own brand, having your own website is really important, but the critical pieces of your business, such as your course, or uh, like your high-end course, I would probably still want some branding. But your free lead magnet stuff, you can, if you can find 10 people that will host your lead magnet, you should host it on all 10 websites, right? But we don't find people who will host your content for free.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right.
And providing so many features for free, like in a free account, as I know this is all for free, that you are offering. That is one very important aspect that we looking for, because generally whenever we go to a website with such features, we end up stuck at a position where we need to then upgrade for a subscription to properly use certain features like this, and you're
Right.
providing that for free, which is
Feature wise, my thinking is, I think people need to experience all of it in order to see if it's valuable, right? And if it is valuable, and you reach a certain point, then you can upgrade. So like our free version is 3 books, and if you share and invite people, you can get it up to 10. And you can have up to 100 people sign up to your book. So that's like 100 leads to your book for free. So you can really experience it, see if it's working or not. And then after that, if you need to upgrade, then you can upgrade. So feature-wise, all the features are available. It's when you reach certain limits, then we hope you would upgrade.
that is true. That is true. Of course, when you see the how things can work for you, and then is when
Exactly.
you can upgrade.
We have to
That's
prove that it works for you, right?
yeah, that
That's how I look at it, right? So that was a brief overview of one use case where I'm a content creator writing content. So let's say, with my other example here, I don't know how much time we got. Uh, I'll try to make this one quick. So this is like my internal planning now. So let's say I need to come up with a marketing plan for my launch or whatever. So I'm creating a marketing plan. I'm crafting the perfect offer. So like doing research on how to craft your perfect offer, your story, and your audience. So this is like my one main piece of content creation that I need to do in order to figure out who it is that I'm targeting, and I need to speak to that audience. So I would write those pieces of content. And then let's say during this discovery, you realize that you're talking to agency owners and you're talking to WordPress freelancers. Okay, so now those are your 2 different avatars. So you can define how you're going to talk to them. Just having everything in that one structure, I think makes it really easy to see the big picture. Here is an example of get feedback form. So let's say uh, these are the 2 audiences that you want to get feedback from. So what I have is a form, like I use paper form. So I created a sample form, and I embedded that form right here. and if I wanted to share this, again, you can use that share option, or you can just use it as a reference for yourself. It's like, what is it that you're asking for? And then the next section that I created, I did another embed, just to show you guys from a coaching perspective. I have a calendar embedded here. So think of it like creating a section in your free lead magnet and embedding this as the next call to action. Just book a call, right?
That's nice. That's really nice.
All right, so
That is
embed.
absolutely nice, because this is exactly what we generally looking for, how to grab an appointment with the coach. So this is nice.
Yep. Okay, so that was like the quick overview of this marketing flow. So just a different use case. Here it's more internal, but I think it gives you an idea how you can break things down and how that can be very useful. Uh, Again, if you try to imagine this in a Google Doc, it becomes really hard to manage. My last use case would be, let me go over to the discovery section. And so like if you are a premium user, then your books will show up in the premium area or the discovery area. Otherwise, they're on your profile, right? So that's another reason why you would want to upgrade, right? Here, I wanted to show you, let's see, here's a help center document that I created. So we're using our own book as a help center management. So getting started with Marybook, you can see all the sections here. And then they all have, some have videos embedded like YouTube, Vistia, any video platform that you're using. If they give you an embed code, that you can use that easily. Another example I want to show you guys is, well, this one really bothers me quite a bit. Like we create so much content on these social platforms. Like on Facebook, we do lives. On LinkedIn, we're creating posts, and maybe we're doing videos there as well. And all that content is just scattered all over, and it's so difficult to go find that piece of content again later on. So one of the books that I created here, Solutions Demo, what I did was I did a live, not a live, a video that I had uploaded on LinkedIn. So it's a LinkedIn post that I just grabbed the embed URL from LinkedIn, and I just posted it here. So if you're creating a lot of content on these other platforms, where the life of your content is about a week, right? Like on LinkedIn, maybe 2 weeks. On Facebook, I think it's like 3 or 4 days. After that, people won't even find it. So you can take your LinkedIn embed code and post it here. That's the one example where I have the LinkedIn video here. And this is a live from Facebook group, and that's embedded here. Oh, this one is YouTube, sorry. Okay, so there's an example of YouTube. Let me go to another chapter. And this is the copywriting thing, I think the same thing. So here's Facebook. So even with the free platform, so I'm using Facebook now as a video hosting platform, post the video on Facebook, and then bring the embed code from Facebook. So there you go, free video hosting for you. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
So you can basically curate all the content from different platforms that you have, be it any kind of a social media platform that you have, or your own website also. You can,
It doesn't even have to be your own content.
yes.
Right? So like here's an example of a person that I follow. He's a SaaS founder now turned coach. So he has a amazing collection of YouTube videos. So when I was binge watching all his videos, I organized the random videos that I was finding for him. Like you know, he's doing it in some order, but then I took those same videos and I just organized it in a format that I am comfortable with, or the format that I am learning his content. So I just made that available and I just made it public because it is YouTube content.
This
They
is
do want you to share it.
Yes, this is nice because, this is one thing that I often wanted to do about, curating resources for my students.
Hmm.
But then on WordPress, there is a problem that if you are actually using other people's content on WordPress, I believe you cannot apply for AdSense then. And because that is a kind of violation, because that's not your original content that you're trying to add, something like that I came across. So I was always afraid of doing this, but here, if that is possible, this is going to be an amazing platform then.
Right. See, the whole point of the share and embed option on any other platform, not just YouTube, when the content creator is making it available for share, you can curate it any way you want. So it doesn't have to be like all his content. I just happen to create uh, like a channel basically of all his content. But if I was interested in just SaaS founders, I could be taking 10 different videos from 10 different creators, and I can have my own curated book, and I can even make it public subscription. You have to give me your email ID in order to get access to my free resource. Basically everybody does that, right? So
That's
I'm
nice.
not claiming it to be my content here, because obviously it's an embed code.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So that's exactly what really matters. When you, as a teacher, like I will always talk as a teacher or a facilitator.
Hmm.
So I come across a lot of content which I find could be very helpful for my learners. But
Correct.
because that is not my content, I do not even want to claim that it is my content. I just want to share it. So the best thing is that I share it on some social media platform. But then, as you rightly mentioned, that the lifespan of that content is not much. So this is one place where you can curate all of it together and give access to your students so that they can keep coming back to it and accessing
Eh,
as per their
right. And since it's a public book, like I didn't require sign up to access this, you can even have discussions now, right? So
right.
if it is your students mostly, and if they have questions, they can have an actual discussion, and every time a new discussion is created, the book owner will get notified that there is a new post. Um, till we get to an actual mobile application, which is going to be hopefully next year. Right now, email is the way that you get notified. Next year, we're hoping to have a mobile application, and then just notifications would be more than enough.
That's very nice. So I am just
Right?
thinking aloud now, in this scenario. So probably I have a podcast maybe, and I write a small ebook around the podcast that I am doing. So I keep it here, and I make the content public, and I share the links here, or probably embed the links here for the podcast. And anybody who is visiting marybook.com and would be interested in the content that I'm sharing, they will get access to my podcast. right?
Correct. Hmm.
That's amazing. That's really nice.
And that brings up a good point that I wanted to share with you guys. So, like one of the, not one of the challenges uh, with a student-teacher communication is, you're not going to get rid of PowerPoints. You're not going to get rid of Google Documents or the Zoom links that you need to share with. So those three things, if you just focus on those three things, how do you communicate that with your audience, with your students, right? That becomes a challenge. Like, let's say you're doing a weekly group call, and you want to share that week's link, or that week's Google Doc, or that week's PowerPoint. It becomes a challenge to be able to share that, and the users, the students, actually finding that link at the time that they need it, right? Because they have to go search in their Gmail, or however you've communicated that to them. That becomes a challenge. So here's a use case. So let's say you're doing a weekly uh, group coaching, right? I'm going to say that that's public right now. So uh, I'll go into this content writing book, and I'll create a new chapter. I'll call it weekly call. And let's just say that's for 9/5. And here is a chapter intro option. So again, you have the option to either enable it or disable it. So let's say I want to show this, and here's the link to the resource. I'm just going to type in Google. Okay, so if I can spell Google. All right, so let's say that's the create chapter. I just created a brand new chapter, and I created that resource link, and I embedded it right here. So this will always stay up on top, and then below that can be, like your daily or whatever update that you want to do. At the end of, let's say, the semester, or at the end of this month even, this is not relevant anymore. So you can go and archive it, and that goes away from your book, and then you can create a new weekly call, and then have all the related information there. And you can manage, like, your end user would just come to this content writing, or your group book, and they'll be like, oh, here's my weekly call for this week. Let's see what information I need. You can have your meeting link, you can have your PowerPoint link, you can have your Google Docs link, whatever resources that you want to share with them. It can be right there up on top, and they can just join.
That's nice. Very nice.
So not getting rid of Google Docs, I don't think we'll be able to do that, but just being able to share the relevant link from your course or class for that event. I think that makes it really useful here as well. So this is available at the chapter level and at the book level. So if there is a resource, like right now you don't see any resource section here, so I can go into the book itself, and like the book intro, and again, click on show, and then have that text over here. The book covers and banners, you just manage that over here. I didn't update the cover. We just have, oh, I did update it. So we have like a few default that comes with. This whole area needs to be improved, but it's functional right now. All right, so I don't know, how much time do we have, Harshita? Do you want me to continue, or do you want me to just start taking any questions?
Yes, I would actually ask, because we have a fair idea of how things are right now with Mary Book and what all features we have. So, are there any questions? Any feature that you would like to know about, or any questions if you have about the platform, or any comments?
All right, let's see. Do you want to?
So actually, I have a few questions to begin with. Like, I wanted to know that how did you come up with this entire idea of uh, having marybook.com? Like, what gave you that kind of?
Well, me and Sadiq actually have you know, a joke between us. It's like I say it's Mary Book, and he goes, "No, it's Mary Book," and it's like, "No, Terry Book and I'm Mary Book," and like it's not your book, it's my book. So we keep going back and forth because it's Mary Book.
I get it.
So the naming was just branding. When we were thinking about uh, branding it, initially it was just more uh, my own note-taking solution. So it just made sense. And at that time, you know, when we started looking for domain names that were available,
Mhm.
marybook.com was actually not available. So we ended up getting Marybook Online, and then IO became popular. So IO, you know, I switched to Marybook IO, and then finally I was able to purchase marybook.com.
Oh,
So I did that. So
nice. So that is nice.
my daughter
Um,
doesn't like it.
oh,
She's
okay.
like, you should, like, she wants it to be either all Hindi or all English. She's like, call it Meri Kitab. Like kitab means book, right? Call it Meri Kitab or call it my book. Don't call it Mary book. I'm like, oh, you know.
Okay. That's that's a kind of creative name that you have. So, okay. So now, because you have this in the format of Mary book, like you have a book, add a chapter, add sections. Um, so I wanted to know that what kind of teacher assessment did you do? Because any kind of needs assessment from teachers' point of view or from students' point of view, that you came up with a platform where these features were required.
Uh, Actually, from a teacher's perspective, not that much. I just looked at my kids, you know, so that they're in the public school system here in US, and they get their, you know, Google Chromebooks, and they're all on Google Classroom. So obviously, I spent a little bit time trying to figure out what it is that Google Classroom is all about and how they're communicating with teachers. And one thing from my interaction with just my kids is, you know, like the homework that is due is always like a challenge for them to find out what is due when, and then uh, when you have a lot of stuff, the stuff gets lost a little bit. So uh, per, like actually talking to teachers, I actually started thinking about that more recently, because we have been focusing more on the marketing part, you know, like building the lead magnet type of thing. But from a teacher's perspective, from a like if you're familiar with meetups, uh, meetups also have that same challenge where they're holding a group gathering, and then they have a new person. Let's say every 2 weeks you hold a meetup, and the new person comes in and does a presentation.
Mhm.
But all of that presentation content, organizing that and making it available to a new person who joins the meetup is just impossible, right? Not impossible, but very convoluted right now. So those are the two things that I'm interested in actually working more, and trying to find out what are the pain points and trying to resolve what we can into this application.
That's nice. That's nice because yes, what I can relate to this when you're talking about meetups. That is exactly what happens. Like keeping a track of all the meetings that have happened, and if somebody wants to get access to the content of the previous meetings, it's just not possible. So Yes, this can be done here now, as I can see. Ella has a question that I came late. What was your rationale for creating such a site? I think you've just answered that. So that's
I would say it was to solve my initial Google Docs problem of the Drupal book, the 60 pages. That was the initial problem because my main focus at that time was building websites for clients, and keep going back into my doc was a pain, and it was much faster for me to just go back and Google search. If you can imagine that, like I have a solution for a problem, I have it written down in my system, but I'm finding it harder to find it at the time that I need than it is to just go back out to Google. It was just mind blowing. I'm like, that shouldn't be the case. I've already spent the time and energy documenting this, and I should be able to get to it faster. So that was the main driving force for building the platform the way we did. So if you look at other platforms, like if you look at Teachable or Kajabi, they don't have the collaboration, the writing part at all,
mm-hmm,
right? So if you look at any other platform out there, it's all either a course
mm-hmm,
or like the sell the course. Like Udemy is sell the course. Kajabi is like upload your course. But course creation, the content writing and collaboration, that all happens somewhere else. Like people use Trello boards and organize their content, project manage it completely differently. Here, since we started off as a note-taking solution and evolved into like a course platform, uh, I think we're the only ones right now. I'm not aware of any other one that has the content writing and the course built in.
right.
So it makes it actually very difficult to convey that to people because they're always thinking it's either a course platform or it's Evernote.
Yeah, that's true. So that is exactly what it is. It is not as complicated as an LMS, and
Correct.
because obviously LMS has a lot of features which are required undoubtedly, but there
Correct.
would be certain instances where you only want to share content and reach out to your prospective audience and generate leads and properly, not even generate leads. You just want to share your set of content, your style of content that you resonate with. You want to share it with public, and this is all what you want to achieve on some platform where somebody comes in and gets access to exactly what they are looking for without getting bogged down with the kind of complications that you face in figuring out those pieces of content on social media, as you rightly said, on Facebook and LinkedIn. So,
Right. And
yes.
another use case, Harshita, is let's say you are teaching one-on-one,
Mm-hmm,
right? And you have workbooks and like you actually review the work that they submit and you're giving them feedback. So let's say you get like 5 students per month and you do that like real one-on-one training with them. You can create a book and have your exercises just filled out. Like, I was showing you over here in the content writing, the discovery call was like, the 3 questions that I had in there. If I can show it real quick. So let's say these were like your exercise, and you would remove the answers to it and you just type it answer there and just have somebody fill it out. So let's say that was your outline and you're expecting that from your client to
right,
be filled in. You can you have this book right here,
right,
and let's say this was your template.
right,
You create this as a template, And all you have to do is just click on clone this book. Just
Mm-hmm.
one click.
Right.
Actually, let me just do that for you right there. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So clone book added to the processing queue will be processed shortly. Usually doesn't take that long. Let me just go back to my book. Here you go. Content writing workbook cloned. And we just add this just so you have a timestamp. And let's say this is your actual client now. And instead of Coach Mary, it could be, Coach John or whatever, right? Your client. And if I go into that, I've duplicated everything that was in that book. So 4 articles and all the sections there, and the weekly call, we didn't do anything there. So uh, with one click, you created your template, and now you can invite just that one person from your one-on-one coaching. So let's say you invited that person, and if your coaching is about, I'm going to bring back WordPress because that's what I keep saying, right? So let's say this was WordPress coaching,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just going to tag that and save. And if I go back, now I have WordPress coaching here. This other one was, we made it public, so maybe now this is not appropriate. We want to make that private again. Oh, I should have added WordPress coaching again. So I'm going to edit it one more time just to complete my thought process there. WordPress coaching is tagged, and now if I go back to my main books, I have 3 books here, and if I just click on WordPress coaching, I would have filtered it down to the 2 WordPress coaching books. So you can organize a little bit with the tagging system there, and this can be like your 2020 WordPress coaching group, and then uh, fall, spring, whatever, however you do your coaching, you can start tagging it like that, and then filter out the users for that. So one-on-one coaching, and especially if you are looking at content that they need to provide, complete it out and give you information on that, then this can become really powerful. In the next couple of months, we're looking at adding some additional functionality as far as getting notification even when you're sharing with somebody. So right now, notifications, like if they mark something as completed, it's only in a public subscription area, but when you share it, we don't have that yet. We just need to replicate that functionality across the board. And a few more things, obviously we're working on it every day. And I think probably by the end of the year, I would be much more comfortable with the core functionality that I want, and then we jump to creating a mobile app.
Okay, that's great.
All right, so that's the game plan.
All the best for that.
All right.
Um, and so I just wanted to know one more thing was that this is the entire book that I have, and I've created chapters and sections, and I've shared with my students. And so this is and my book. So when we go to add a book, so book is basically synonymous to a course here, right?
Correct.
And the course would then have modules, and modules are synonymous to chapters. And each module will then have certain activities and resources. Those are synonymous to sections, right?
Correct.
So, and each book can have 3 kinds of visibility, that is private, public, and public subscription. And
Correct.
so this is, I think it's just about spreading the word, because this is an amazing platform. That's what I personally felt when I started using it. I started exploring it. I think it is an it's really nice, the kind of features that you have added. So that's good. um, if you have been, in touch with teachers who are teaching online, do you see that they are facing any specific problems that you think that this platform is addressing to?
I think right now, the piece where you have to share your, PowerPoint presentation, where you have to share your meeting links,
Mm-hmm.
just the communication that keeps going back and forth, that can be eliminated completely. You can just say, hey, here's the book, subscribe to that book, right? And then at whatever time, like Saturday, 1 o'clock, we're going to have our call. They can come to that book and they don't need to worry about where is my join link, where is my share link for the document and whatnot. They can just come into the platform, and right here at this level, they can say weekly call, like that becomes so much easier because you have one centralized place for you to manage your weekly call. And once you're done with 9-5, you can unpublish it
Mm-hmm.
if you want it, or you can leave it there, uh, unpublish it, and then create a new one, and have that available, so people can just come in here and just say, okay, well, you can even put it over here up on top, like at the book level rather than at the chapter level. You can even put it, okay, today's call is, here's the link.
Right, right.
Right? So you can create a resource section up on top. So all that communication that needs to happen on a weekly basis, where's my link? I didn't get my link, none of that stuff. You can just come here and find the link that you need and click on that Zoom link and join the call.
That is so true because, this is exactly what I personally feel I have been sharing with teachers is that you need to have one platform where you can actually communicate with your learners. When you're teaching online, either having a standalone Zoom session, that's not enough. You need one place where you can upload your content, and then every teacher cannot afford to have their own website, and every teacher cannot afford to um, get a blog like site and add Moodle or any other LMS where they can upload their courses and manage everything by themselves. Of course, that is what you need as personal branding. You of course need that, but to begin with, this platform gives them enough of opportunities to share content in a very organized manner. And so that is exactly what is required at this point of time, especially because of the pandemic, when teachers are looking for a platform where they can share their content with the students. So yeah, that is exactly what is required.
And here's another piece to that, right? So like right now when we're using Zoom, and let's say we communicate each other either in Zoom chat, or even if you use Facebook Messenger chat as a group, then that conversation is out there with no reference whatsoever.
Mhm.
Right? So let's say you're having that weekly call, and right now this is public. So anybody who is on that call can start having a discussion and commenting right here. So the discussion is very focused. And since we're, like on this call, we're talking about these things, your conversation will stay right there.
Right.
Right? So communicating on that specific call, even if you come back a month later and you look at, okay, this was the call that we had, the Zoom meeting, you can, embed your Zoom video in here, and all the conversations, if you leave the conversations here, then the reference is right there for you. So rather than, like, as soon as we close this Zoom, that chat is gone.
Yeah.
Like if we were to use that. So like even when I worked in corporate, we never chatted on Zoom chat. We always used Slack to chat. We would create a channel, Slack channel, and then we would chat over there. And even then, like coming back to that conversation was just pointless.
Right,
But here you'll be able to do that.
right, right, right. So that's nice. That's another great feature that you have. So, I think one very important point is that you have enough of resources that you have created, how to use marybook.com. So, can you just give us a brief overview from where can we find those resources?
There are two places. So initially, if you just click on the help link down at the bottom of our website, you'll find some content here in our resource area.
Mm-hmm,
And then more recently, I created that book
mm-hmm,
where I copied most of that content over because I was testing that use case to see if I can solve in our platform itself. So if you come over to the Discover option here, this is what I was talking about. If you mark a book as a book, then it shows up in the book area. If you mark it as a course, it will show up in the course area. Just because a book is no longer like a course is not really a book. Like I took this um, public domain book,
mm-hmm.
uh, very popular public domain book, and I tried to replicate that into our platform to see how that would flow. Again, this is just testing. So if you are like actually planning on writing a book for actual publishing, ebook even, you can test it out here, and then be able to uh, break it down into the chapters and sections. Again, book might not, you might not call them chapters there. If you're writing, like, let's say a novel, you're not going to call it a chapter, but whatever that breakdown is going to be, you'll be able to do that. So this was an example of taking a public domain book and converting it into this format where it becomes a little bit easier to consume because it's small pieces that you can always come back to.
That's right.
Uh, so
True.
let's see.
So, that's how your resources are available. So anybody who wants to reach out to you, how can they reach out to you?
There's a chat option right on the website. Okay,
Okay.
so you can use that.
Okay.
Uh, email, contact us form, Facebook. I'm all over the place. So however, whatever you're comfortable with, reach out to me. That's
Okay.
good.
All right. Great. So I think, are there any more questions?
Uh, I actually don't know if you had a chance to talk with Nasir. We were thinking about doing like a giveaway on the call. So I don't know if you had a chance to talk to him
No, I did
about
not.
that.
I did not.
All right. So I'll share that. Hopefully you don't mind.
No, of course not. Before that, I want to give a disclaimer that there is no affiliate marketing or anything in this session that is happening. And
Mhm.
it's absolutely because I liked the platform while I was trying to explore it. And so, very gracefully, you accepted to share about your platform on this session. So, thank you very much about that. And yes, now you can go ahead with.
All right. So basically, if you go sign up for a free account
Mhm.
and create your first public book. So we want to get content on our platform. So that's our main goal.
Right.
If you create your first public book and reach out to me and just say you were on our Zoom call, then we'll upgrade you to our pro plan, which gives you unlimited books.
Wow.
So like if you go to pricing, So basically, we just have two plans. This is the pro plan. You get unlimited books, 100 subscriber per book, right? So a lot of options to do whatever you need to do, even with that. So that's the one that we want to give away. As long as you create one public book and reach out to me.
Wow,
And,
that
and that's for life. So it's good for life. You don't have to purchase anything else.
oh, that's lifetime access.
Correct.
Wow, that's a one-time purchase. That's
Okay. And there's no limit. So I think we had, do you want to make this available to your group for, let's say, 4 or 5 days if people watch this afterwards? Because
uh,
I know we had, about 5 people. It's up to you. I'll leave that up to you.
I think that if you will keep it available for next maybe 3 days, and
Okay.
because by then, if somebody is able to go through this video and wants to access, but creating a book can take time. So do you want?
Right. I was thinking 5 days.
Okay,
I,
right.
I don't know, 5 days, and then just post your link in your group saying this is the book that I've created, or sharing it with your group as well. So
Okay.
I think that would be kind of exciting. What do you think?
Yes, of course, that will be. I will. I
Okay.
am going to do it myself first.
All right. Sounds good. All right. So basically, uh, create a public book and post it in your group, and share the link where you're sharing it. So uh, to your public book, and then you get access.
All right.
Simple as that.
So,
Okay.
so yes, but how do you get to know that they were on the Zoom call and they've created this
Uh,
public book?
Do you want to leave it to anybody or 5 people? I'll leave that up to you.
No, of course, that's your platform. I don't want to.
No, we'll leave it open to anybody. I think that'll be fun. That'll be fun. I want to see what people create.
Okay, so anybody who creates a book in next 5 days on
Days.
marybook.com, and
And
that's a
shares
public
that link in your
group,
group
Facebook.
on that post. We'll create a post and say, all right, here's the free giveaway, or watch
Okay,
this webinar, whatever you want to do.
okay.
I think that will work.
Yeah, that will be great. That will be amazing. I will take this forward and I will write that you are also there in the Facebook group. So
Yep.
I just want to repeat that group is teaching teachers using technology. That is a Facebook group. So if you want to join that group, please join that group, and you will get free access to this pro account once you share the link to a public book.
There
That's
you go.
that's nice. That is great. So thank you so much, Alauddin, for
All right.
sharing about your platform with us, and it was great. And I think the features that you have are amazing. It is just about time when teachers get to know about your platform, and I'm sure everybody is going to love it.
All right. Well, appreciate you having me, and thank you everybody for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for staying with us, and have a good weekend ahead.
Yeah. All
Thank you.
right. Take care, guys.
Take care. Stay safe. Bye.